Welcome to Talk Cosmos, the show where Sue Rose Minahan and her guests bring you insightful conversations to awaken heart and soul consciousness. Come journey with us exploring the meaningfulness of astrology's energetic cycles and get ready to understand your path in the cosmic roots of the stars.
Hello, everybody. I'm Sue Rose Minahan, zooming into you, and this is May 31st. Our subject is Uranus, the Awakener. It's squaring for a total of about 3 months, exacting in 2 weeks, the nodes. And it is going to be a pivotal awakener. That's what it does. It's a cosmic awakener. It's pivotal changes as we're moving along. It's going to shift our perspectives and shake up barriers, and for the purpose really again of rediscovering what real unity can mean. So let's get to it. We're starting. Thanks.
Talk Cosmos engages unique events during the 3rd and 4th weeks of the month, featuring a myriad of new and returning guests. Joining host and founder Sue Rose Minahan, they co-create to explore and contemplate a wide spectrum of potent subjects. Embark on today's topic within our panorama of guests and insights as we welcome the astrologers for this conversation.
Hi, Jen. How are you? Jen Sachs from Seattle, Washington.
Yes, I am well. Thanks, Sue. How are you?
I'm fine. We're both adjusting our cameras on these wonderful new monitors that we have and all. Yes. Excellent. Well, here we go again. You know, folks, we were last month about Mars and Saturn in Aries. Very dynamic time. But this brings the level up. Uranus, square the lunar nodes. Goodness gracious. Well, I will introduce our guest today, Jen Sachs. She's a certified astrologer with the AFA, a consultant, tarot reader, speaker, and presents classes. Jen pursues modern astrology, and that includes traditional timing techniques. And weekly on Sundays, which today is, Jen Sachs has an astrology podcast, so tune into that. You can listen wherever you go. And if you want to find her website is Jen Sachs, that's SACHS, astrology.com. And she loves calculations and studies in spiritual psychology. And she's a current member, along with me, of Wine Country Speakers and a charter member, like myself, of Kepler Astrology's Toastmasters Club. It's a wonderful site for discovering how you can engage with your speaking and learn a community. And she has been on the executive team. That's a volunteer position that takes a lot of dedicated time and interest, and always growing as a speaker, storyteller, mentoring others. And currently her work spans presentations, a podcast, and client counseling, which she's done for 20 years. So there you go. You got a great blend of modern astrology and timing techniques. Yeah, I love perfections. In fact, I should think we are 8 years. So I think we're in oh my gosh, we're in Scorpio right now. We're in the 8th year. I hadn't thought of that so much. Well, you and I will have to talk about what that means for Talk Cosmos. We're in the 9th season, but the 8th year. So that would be, yes, it would be.
It's a Venus cycle.
A Venus cycle?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Every 8 years, Venus retrogrades to the same sign.
That's right. That's what I've been focusing on. Oh, goody. Yes, the Venus star points. Absolutely. Well, I need to focus more. Okay. Uranus, like Venus, rotates backwards. However, Uranus also rotates on its side, meaning it's east and west. That's its axis point, not north and south. It's a total disruptor. It breaks every rhythm. And that's what it does in our astrology, although that also means it's present. It doesn't care about the past or the future. It's right now. what's it revealing? This square started May 4th. And as Jen reminded me, Uranus entered Gemini on April 26th, just for those people that want to get the calendar positioned. And that was in early 0 degrees, 27 Gemini. And it was within 6 degrees, 5.5 degrees of the Pisces Virgo nodes. Today being the 31st, the last day of the month, on the 12th of June, it will be exact at 2 degrees, 42 minutes Gemini, squaring the lunar nodes at Pisces Virgo at that degree. However, it won't finish its square within that orb until the 28th of July, at which time, very shortly, a couple of days before that, the nodes entered Aquarius Leo. And there's a gap. And interestingly, just before Uranus transits retrograde, that's apparent retrograde from Earth's perspective, which will happen on September 10th. But 4 days ahead, from the September 5th to the 9th, it returns to a square where Uranus will be in the late degrees of Gemini. I think your phone is active again. Thanks. Okay. And the nodes are going to be again in Aquarius Leo. Wow, we're all rebooting just like a phone.
Thanks so much. I'm so sorry. As the second it was happening.
No.
We got online here, so my phone is out of the room.
Very good. We're clear. Onward. And besides that, I think technology is speaking a lot to us in all different ways, Jen. And the way I look upon it, every little indication, whether it's a dog barking or whether it's a phone talking, it's something that's saying, you know what? There is another language. There's something going on. So yes, we have this square, and maybe that's one of the things the square is telling us is it's Uranus, it's sudden, and it's communication in Gemini. And it's saying there's lots of ways to get messages, to understand how to communicate.
You know, and that's my favorite thing about Uranus is the disruptor, but Uranus doesn't come in and bring anything new necessarily. Uranus works with what is there. And in Gemini, it's a container. So it's almost as if like Uranus is coming in this expression of Gemini and shaking up what we already have right in front of us. And I can't, for those who are listening, the amount of times that Sue and I have been randomly interrupted with our communication devices, just trying to get this program started today, is such a signifier of this Uranus squaring the notes. So we're trying.
Beautiful. I love this.
Like, no, I'm going to change you.
Absolutely. And your perception, it mirrors exactly mine, that we are living in the now time. Vibrational astrology teaches me that Uranus doesn't care about the past and the future. It's right now. And that adds that realization that you've expressed perfectly. I'll parrot back, is that it reveals what's happening. Because even last week, Linda Barry with Rob, when we did Sedna, that's conjunct at 1 degree of Gemini, was that it breaks up with Pluto to break through, but it takes like a 40-year process. So but it reveals what's happening. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you for that. This is a graphic that shows this square. You have Uranus at 2 degrees, 42 minutes of Gemini. And here you have the twins, Pollux, the immortal, and Castor, the mortal, twins that unify, that share both spirit and mortality together once Castor died. And then the nodes, so you have the Pisces fish nodes with the two fish going in opposite directions. The mundane, you could say, and the spiritual, perhaps, or our weakness and our strengths of illusions versus truth of the moment, what's fantasy and what's really imagination to lead us somewhere. And then Virgo, the south node, that's a healer, but often wants to fix things to the point that of realizing what's mine to fix and what's not mine to fix.
Yes.
Looking at
And that's been a big thing, I think right now as we're preparing for the nodes to change, but the whole experience really, but it's where have we been exhibiting acts of service that is one-sided? And, we're starting to see people kind of come to terms with their burnout on whatever level that is, because the Pisces North Node, it is asking us to be creative, and it is asking us to be healing in a kind of cosmic oneness sort of a way. But, Pisces also casts a lot of illusions and delusions, and, then Virgo wants to come in and bring in the teas and make sure everybody is bandaged well and sleeping well and has enough, stationery to read, write, and arithmetic and all that stuff. And then here comes Uranus, and Uranus is like, okay, we're about to change. You too are always talking about healing in these different ways. You think that you're working together, but I'm going to really kind of like, break the circuit here, if you will, so that you can come to awareness of what is a give and a take. Where's the give only and where's the take only? Because Uranus is also doesn't really care if we heal or not. Uranus just wants us to experience and to become more resourceful by knowing to work with what we have within kind of what a more
and who we are, what really wants to be revealed. Yeah, I love this because in the Piscean sense, it's easy to manage. That's what I'm thinking of between the Virgo and the Pisces. Like, for instance, not getting to the root of what the misconception is that where imagination and desire and dreams become fancifully misguided. And that is if I believe we're managing it, we're kind of band-aiding it without really looking at the source, saying, this is untruthful. This is not connected to reality in the sense of what is. And that doesn't mean other people's reality. It means the reality of potential. Reality always has potential.
Yeah. But just to say something nice about Pisces before.
Oh, yes, definitely. I love Pisces.
It is the vision that Pisces gives us, this sorts of like intuitive direction for us to go towards that give us a greater sense of what is tangible and what is real. Because it is with these visions that we are encouraged to bring something into fruition.
Yeah, without it, we would be lost. Everything starts with that. And thank you. Imagination. We're focusing here on the Sabian symbols to give insights into what, before we look at the charts, what possibly this could indicate. And it rounds off to the next degree. So it's in 2. So we're looking at 3 Sabian symbols in Virgo and Pisces for the nodes. And for the South Node, Virgo 3, 2 guardian angels bringing protection. That would be because of the South Node. Where is the shadow material being released? It's not all of it. It's just within that. Because within everything, there's the strengths and the weaknesses. Flipping over to the North Node in Pisces 3, a petrified forest, which both of these really need to be unearthed a bit, because immediately speaking, it's like, what are they really signifying? Now, this is the evolutionary direction to embrace and integrate with the South Node. It's not to ignore it, but to bring in factors that both are strengthened. And so to surrender beyond the ego's need to manage. Go ahead.
Sorry, I jumped in.
No,
And I think that this is very interesting. You said that this is, there's a needing to break free from this, but Uranus is here with that square again to liberate us from something that we've been forming on this path that may or may not be to our greatest benefit. And I find it interesting that the South Node in Virgo is the 2 guardian angels bringing protection.
Yes, I agree.
And that the North Node in Pisces is something very formed, a petrified forest. So it's almost as if like Uranus is showing us that the way that we have worshiped and the way that we have maybe been overly concerned of how other people worship is not really what's benefiting the greater good. And there's more information for us.
Or to trust it so blindly that
Mhm.
we aren't a participant. Because I very strongly believe that for a spiritual experience, development, it's personal. It is your personal experience with the center that connects with the greater cosmic wholeness, however you call it, whether it's a great spirit, whether it's Allah, whether it's God, whether it's Jesus, whether it's
Heavenly Father.
Confucianism and everything else that I believe, or all the mercurial things. I mean, I'm just listing whatever comes to mind.
Yes. Because spirituality is not kind. Spirituality is not a one direct path.
No.
Spirituality is questioning. Spirituality turns besties into enemies and vice versa. And
well,
and
I think when you say spirit, when you're thinking as when you say besties into, people might interpret, because everything is landed exactly what we're talking about in Gemini. It's being defined through words that have a lot of baggage and connotation and past experience. I just Unexplained on Netflix with the guy that was in one of those star shows was saying that there's islands that are forbidden to go to because for maybe 500 years they've had all these bad experiences. But what I'm getting is memory is long sometimes, and painful experience is long. But it's the baggage, it's the words, it's how we share things, it's the stories. So words and language is so important. Going back to this, to how they interrelate, the next one is even more. The Sabian symbol for Uranus, which is 2 degrees Gemini, is 3. And it is the Tuileries garden, which is, once again, if it's disrupting things, and it's supposed to go to what we're thinking of, the forest, the petrified forest. What is that forest? And which really is the timeless energies of what is untamed. It's just existing in a symbolic sense. But here you have perfection of some sort that is a disruptor. So, and it's every part is like Taoism. There's the whole has its antidote of its poison in a sense, or its opposite, for a total healing.
Yes. And something about the Sabian symbol, because I have a placement 2 degree Gemini, so I've studied this one a lot. But something about the Gemini 3 Sabian symbol is it talks about socializing in a comfortable garden, and almost like social status in a way. And I think that that's a really important key to kind of bring in right now, because there is this just dramatic shift across the world about, how things are changing and shifting, and not just how they are, but how they have been in the past, like what's been restricted and what's been pushed down and who. And then also, what needs to break free in order for all of us to kind of live harmoniously, liberated, which Pisces North Node would love for us to do. So for Uranus to come in here with that 3 Sabian Gemini, as the marker of breaking free, there is something about the social status here as well. Yes, so, I'm expecting kind of like, and again, Gemini doesn't bring up anything that isn't already there, but it detonates from the cracks that have already been established and but haven't been looked at. So, kind of expect to see these types of like social disruptions to start to show way. And, these are our opportunities to learn how to use our voice in a new way, in a more liberated way, and to, not just for ourselves, but for other people, for our community. Gemini wants us to kind of balance our communities out.
I love that. Detonate from the cracks. Boy, that's powerful, Jen. Good info. It is so true. The Sabian's energies at 3, that's not degrees, it's 3. This is an AI version, and it shows each of the 3 in the complexity where you have the 2 nodes, 3 of Pisces at the north representing, and the south represented by Virgo, 3 with the angels. And then Gemini, 3 of Uranus, that is assimilating this energy. So it's allowing how to edit what we consider perfect, breaking the current, moving beyond rigidity, many, many things. You can. Well, let's look at the chart, shall we?
Let's do it.
That would be June 12th, 2026, in the morning at 3:19 minutes and 25 seconds Eastern Time, Washington, D.C., District of Columbia. And this is Porphyry, and it's true nodes. In this, you have the big square, and I have the conjunctions listed, which just we can talk about a bit. And again, just to realize that Uranus is working to reveal what's there in life at the moment. And we're working up to it. This is like 2 weeks away. It's getting closer. It's only a few degrees actually from it, where it had been 6. So we're really feeling it. And that Ceres, the dwarf planet Ceres of nurturing versus grief, is conjunct. And that is, how are we nurturing ourselves, and what grief is there, and how are people, how can we help? And also about food. She represents grain. The other factor here that we can just speak about, Jen, is that there's other energies that are happening as this is being birthed. This Uranus in Gemini at the very beginning. Later in the month, Chiron is going to enter Taurus. So we're at the very end of an 8-year cycle with the healer for our identity, whereas then it'll go into our self-worth and abundance versus scarcity. But right now it's still focused on who am I and how can I be me? And am I okay to be me? Yes. And then in July, the nodes are going to shift to Leo and Aquarius, but we're at the very beginning because they go backwards in Pisces, Virgo. So it's that fresh opportunity that of really what our dreams are, and looking at this square. And then, okay, and what else was I saying? That's it. What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, of course, there's a lot, but
okay, we'll go
that's
on.
enough to work with. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yes,
but I want to touch on Ceres being having that conjunction with Uranus, because this is such a beautiful piece of information of what we have going on right now. You know, Ceres it's motherhood, but also parenting. So there's this big shift in what is needed for these types of things, and not just as people with children, but also how we parent ourselves or reparent ourselves. So that's more of a psychological situation, but it's very important to consider. And, just ways that we nourish ourselves, express unconditional love, to have something, a dwarf planet that activates unconditional love, trying to share the space with Uranus, who is the liberator and very neutral and just wants chaos for us to figure it out so that we can, level up our intelligence. I think that this is a very interesting kind of twist to the plot of this nodal bend, because we are going to need to consider that we are taking actions as individuals to liberate ourselves in some form, but also it's how are we identifying with unconditional love, and how is that starting to play out or begging to be changed?
Yes, it's interesting to me, knowing the mythology of Ceres, that she experienced a sudden loss. That's where the grief comes in. Mm-hmm. And Uranus is everything about sudden, immediate. In fact, he gave birth to his daughter suddenly and violently through his head, Venus. And what I'm getting is, in some ways, they are paired in that way of great suddenness and grief. So because in evolutionary astrology, Uranus is always identified with trauma for that very factor, that the changes, people are often unaware of the signs. And that's really what I think this chart that we've been talking about is, to get more in tune with the invisible, with the signs that are coming out, whether it's our computer talking or something, and by being centered within, and to have that dialogue and be a participant. Yeah, so it's quite an interesting concept. And of course, Saturn's next to Pallas Athena. So Saturn's saying what's essential, and Pallas is going, well, what's the strategy?
Yes. And Saturn and both Aries too love a good strategy and are quite successful whenever they're able to put the task into play.
This whole backdrop is for 3 years held by this mini grand trine between it was with Saturn, but it's with Uranus and Pluto. And right now, Neptune is at the midpoint.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
No, we'll say what? Okay, we'll take a break. We'll come back. Shall we take a break?
Sure.
Okay. Yeah. And we'll return to that. Okay. Thanks, everybody. Be right back. Stay with us. While we take a break from this week's edition of Talk Cosmos, let's take a look at this cycle's archetype. We are currently in the period of Gemini. By leaving a cycle based on physical form, integrated through spirit, the energy of Gemini connects spirit with matter, focused on communicating and defining the external. Gemini is a mutable air sign signifying flexibility. Gemini dually focuses upon teaching and learning in order to synthesize the world one lives within.
Talk Cosmos ignites insightful conversations to awaken heart and soul consciousness with hour-long programs every Sunday at 1 p.m. Pacific on KKNW. Also available to watch live on the Talk Cosmos YouTube channel and Facebook page. While you're there, make sure you click their like and subscribe buttons so you get the full Talk Cosmos experience. You can listen to earlier podcasts since 2018, either on most podcast carriers or under the video tab on Talk Cosmos YouTube. To join our expedition and find out about upcoming programs, sign up for the newsletter at talkcosmos.com and launch your week into the cosmic wonder.
This is Martha Norwalk. Every Sunday morning, beginning at 9 a.m., thanks in part to the Whispering Dragon Center in Shoreline, we cover the world of animals. This week, it's Shelter Rescue Sanctuary and anything that helps our animal friends Sunday. We'll check in with Meow Cat Rescue, Help Animals India, and Animals24-7.org. Plus, we'll find out about all the great events and classes coming up at the Ananda Institute for Living Yoga. Hope you can join us for Martha Norwalk's Animal World, Sunday morning, 9 a.m. to noon, right here on Alternative Talk, AM 1150.
Multicultural, multidimensional even. Alternative Talk 1150.
Well, hi, Jen. Boy, Uranus is it's nature working against toxicity. And there's a lot of that. It's purging. Like in a cleanse, you see the dirt and then you clean it up. Well, let's go on to the next one, because this is a full package. There is this dynamic square, T-square, with Uranus shaking up our evolutionary direction that we want to integrate into the past, of refine, of socialization, communication, connection. But we also have, and the mini grand trine energies that are really breaking down the barriers and reforming new realizations of what is authentically necessary for us to be, and the world, that whole long drama of life that and it's a renaissance too. Having Uranus trine Pluto is notoriously a renaissance. 1504 was the last time, and that we had Neptune as a midpoint. I think I have a slide much later on that. The point being that we're reimagining new realities. But look at Jupiter and Venus in Cancer. That's also part of this signature. Those are the traditionals call benefics, but I don't go there. It's just they all have energies, but it's expanding what we think of as beautiful, and they're in Cancer. I know you have thoughts. What's your thought?
Yes. Yeah. And this conjunction of, Venus, our relationships and how we, create harmony conjunct with Jupiter, but expands things, to have a conjunction at the time that, Uranus is squaring the nodes. I find this an interesting, part, because it's almost as if we need to expand the idea of what we thought our relationships have been and how we have nurtured them in the past. And Venus, as lovely and joyful as she is, Venus understands
our attachments. You're saying like what's attached to us, because
yes.
It's in Cancer. Yeah.
Correct. Okay. Yes. Thank you. And Venus, as lovely and joyful as she is, Venus understands you can't have harmony without harm.
And she's not always lovely and
right
and fine. I mean, she was born out of pain. And the Mayans, they have a warrior and a elder wisdom. So love is desire is a very full engagement. Anyway, go ahead.
Yes. Yeah. And, and to bring up desire, desire, fantasy, desire, I feel like it's more Pluto, but fantasy is,
desire, I got to say, it's desire is supposed to be they're both in different ways. It's definitely Venus too.
Yes. But I was talking about Pisces, bringing in the focus of Pisces. So, just this, again, the square is kind of bringing us with this great awakening, this pivotal awakening, by giving us information about how things have been working. So this is our opportunity to take these pieces of information, and, the information may come from Jupiter, which is conjunct Venus. So it might be in terms of how we relate to things, how we're, the juiciness of our expansion and what this vision of that we have.
If I may say though, for me, Cancer is a lot about our story. We take our emotions and we have formed words with it. And so we have a story of what we're protecting in Cancer, and a life and people and nations and everything. So it is what's attached, and they are always attached with people in some framework. So it's really true. There's that healing energy with Chiron. I think that's what I was thinking about. And it's in with Eris of inclusivity. So, and part of this is really, it's I guess we could have a whole talk about that. But Jupiter is leaving soon. So it's very pivotal to, bring focus to maybe what are we really protecting, and what are we attached to, and why, and how is that operating, and how does that affect our identity? Is that because it's our story or somebody else's story?
Yeah. And with Cancer, it's always important to reflect, where are we hardened to protect that we need to soften down?
Yeah, it's not necessary. Maybe those people can look out for themselves. And I think that's a lot with the Virgo South Node, is saying, is it my story or is it their story? Yes.
And sometimes, and I don't think we look enough at like our own families, so it's important with anytime Cancer is involved to know how to hold those closest to us accountable.
Ah, yes. And to love them for just what they are, and the past relationship for where it is right now, because as we grow, people's directions change and focuses, or they latch on to old stories that maybe oneself has moved beyond. And that's a painful thing too. So all this gets so involved, it's not just one, just as talking with you, I realize it has to do with, can those people nurture themselves with the Ceres energy, or are they still grieving and needing, how do we, but communication is so important. I believe if one has the heart and the will and the courage to continue to communicate on some terms, which is this Uranus and Gemini, then you can have these pivotal awakenings.
Yes.
To bring that back in. Well, Jen Sachs is an astrologer consultant, a tarot speaker with classes at jensaxastrology.com. And she has her podcast on Sundays. This is usually at the half hour, but we're morphing our time a little with Uranus.
Very Uranian of us.
Yes, right. And here is shows a potpourri of my past shows. And coming up, the next one actually is Chiron in Taurus with Tracy Quinlan from Canada with Dr. Laura Tad and myself. So that'll be most exciting. And then following that will be the Gemini Capricorn moon. So I really should have kept up the Taurus Sagittarius ones, because I think yesterday was the full moon. So
Tomorrow.
Is it tomorrow?
It's 1-something Pacific time. So, but yes.
Yeah. So right now is the full moon. So that's still pivotal. Alrighty. This is a tri-wheel, not to get too excited, but what fascinates me are prenatal eclipses. The idea of a prenatal eclipse, what makes sense to me is that it is where you're incarnated. Before incarnation, your spirit has an ideal of what it wants to become or how it wants to focus. So a solar one would be of your identity, your whole, everything the solar, the sun represents. The sun and the moon combined, actually, it's like the real seed. And the lunar is that evolved manifestation. How did it work? Now, in this case, the lunar happened first and then the solar. So the solar is closer to the July 4th, 1776 event. And I don't know how many people do national prenatal eclipses, but to me, it makes all kinds of sense. So here we go.
Yes.
And amazingly, so that's going to be on the inside, because we'll do both charts, will be the solar prenatal, and it's a partial eclipse, but it's very close. It's within the nodes. Oh, what happened? I have a solar eclipse. Oh, yeah, no, it's fine. It's fine. Yeah, it is, because it's 15 degrees away from the south node, and it can be up to, I think, 18 for a solar. So it's still within, but it's a partial eclipse. Nonetheless, it's at 0 degrees Pisces. And therefore, it's just 2 degrees from the nodes right now. But look at this. Uranus on the outside of June 12th at 2 degrees 42 is exactly conjunct partile to this prenatal eclipse Uranus at 2 degrees 42 minutes. In the meantime, the sun, the transiting sun to our natal July 4th is conjunct within a second, almost partile to Mars, meaning there is a lot of action that we're working up. So, but what does that mean? To me, it indicates that our soul had all the Piscean, like the Fool's card, ready to go. It was both feeling like a victim, leaving the mother country, as it's called, but also the dreams and the envisions and the hopes and the desires and compassion for hopefully all, but also fantasies and illusions and it had a lot of shadows. So we are now looking, perhaps, hopefully to penetrate that, to say what was the good, the bad, and the ugly of what our hopes and dreams really were, so that we can integrate and repolarize, not even polarize, have and both.
Mm-hmm. So this happened right before, or this is the eclipse that happened before the country was
February
established.
19th, 1776. It was 9:33 a.m.
Yes. So
Eastern time.
this is the energy leading up to that. So, and I think it really, and with
It embodied the hopes and dreams of what wanted to be incarnated. So it's not an exact match. Yeah.
Yes. But with Uranus in the chart of the solar eclipse and the exact in the square that we have on June 12th, with it being 2 degrees, 42 minutes. Whenever we have that type of precision in astrology, it is very much our instruction. So this is really highlighting that, I mean, as a nation of the United States, not to get too political with things, but it's very evident that we are kind of reflecting like, what is this country? What do we want it to be? And Gemini wants us to really to focus on our communities. And I was talking to somebody yesterday about astrology, and this person kept bringing up sibling rivalry whenever it came to Gemini. And I thought that is so interesting because Gemini rules all those like day-to-day relationships, our neighbors, our cousins, our siblings. And, you know, these are the people who beat us up on a daily basis in one form or another and are there for us whenever we have these, pivotal moments as we are aging and developing who we are. And Gemini also wants us to learn something and to be educated and to establish that within ourselves, but also within these types of relationships too. So again, with this type of exactness, with the degree, with the minute.
It's a message, undoubtedly. Yes. It is.
Yes. It is a message for us to really kind of take into consideration of, what were we before this nation was and how has that developed?
Exactly.
Going back to these day-to-day relationships, it's sure we've got these big people and these big powers making decisions, whether we agree with them or not, but people in big positions and big powers don't get there all of a sudden. There is everyday situations with everyday people that are.
Every day is more Virgo of the Hermetic, but you're right. It's more I just want to make that distinction.
Sure.
When I think of every day, it's sixth house, it's the routine is Virgo, whereas the Gemini gathers information and collects and connects. It's connection. But same, yeah.
And these everyday communications with these people that that are begging for us to take reflection on or to take note on of, what could have changed if I did speak up or if I spoke up differently or to take a seat. But we have so much power, whether it's in our schools, our clubs, our family dynamics with these relationships in our neighborhood.
That's where it begins. It is that small nucleus. I love how you're bringing in the focus because I was trying to figure out about the sun, the transiting sun on 12th at 21 degrees, 21 minutes, that conjuncts the natal Mars, and which is always a very strong point in our chart when anything conjuncts that Mars. At 21 degrees, 22 minutes, that's so exact. So you're saying this identity of ourselves right now, how are we, it is so true. This is instigating that whole Uranus Martian energy that's like firecrackers. It is immediate. It wants action. But we need to, it's really
totally lacks patience.
Right. What's so interesting is that Uranus is unearthing what is there. And it's not an immediate fix. We just went through our Chiron return a couple of years ago. We're still like in the throes of that. It's a progressive deal. And the nation itself wasn't formed for 6 years and it wasn't defined until, 81, the war ended, 83, the peace treaty took the British troops out. And in 1789, we finally got a new constitution. So that's when our government, as we know it, began. So there's all these other steps. It's a tsunami wave. But those people that started this need to break away, to have freedom in the 11th house, at least in this chart too, which happens to have an Aries rising for interestingly, they had shadow parts. Yes, we had dreams. Everybody talks about our dreams and our hopes, and it's for everybody. But yet, who was everybody? It has changed significantly. And now there's a real question about, and that's really what Chiron in Aries does. It's like, who belongs? So we're still really, our last talk, Jen, I want to bring attention to this bottom blue square here on the screen that you're aware of. But it fascinated me because in our talk that we did last month on April 19th, and I think the conjunction was April 19th, that Mars was conjunct Saturn at 7 degrees Aries, and we pulled up the chart, a tri-wheel or a bi-wheel, but the point being that Uranus, which is at 8 degrees natal, as you can see it right over there, happened to be squaring the transiting nodes that have moved from 7 down to 2 now since that time. And so here it was our natal Uranus that was questioning, hey, what's happening out in the world? Whereas now it's transiting Uranus, going back to our prenatal heart, going, hey, you guys, what were you really thinking? Let's get real. Let's see what is honest right now.
Where to get honest with the liberation that was demanded at this time.
Yes. To really liberate everybody, to be whole, to be that unity that Pisces so dearly hopes to conceive. And the other factor is over here in the green that brings attention to the transiting June 12th. I have to identify all this on the exterior wheel at 13 degrees Aries is distinctly opposite, applying to an opposition to our natal Saturn. So it's Saturn opposite Saturn at 14 degrees Libra. And that's, I think, a real sense of awareness. Talk about pivotal awareness more so to understand how are we really working with, because Saturn wants what is essential. What is really the important and pivotal and fundamental. Should we go to the lunar one just to see what it says?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, and I did bring up, this is where I was saying that they're trying to think, like, what do they want to think about that? It's a long story. But back in the Renaissance is the last time that Neptune was the midpoint between those exterior, that Renaissance energy. So it's really reframing goes along with
our modern times with these modern planets that were not discovered until all of this had already happened.
A new viewpoint.
The mini grand trine with the modern planets does, symbolically anyway, does touch on the easy flow of energy for us to engage with how our modern times are being shaped.
Goody. And breaking down changing the barriers. This is the lunar. It was prenatal eclipse, February 4th, 1776. Again, it's in DC. It's Eastern Daylight Time. I guess it was Eastern Daylight Time. You know what? I just put it in to Solar Fire, and that's the time came up. So maybe they had daylight time back then. That seems kind of weird, but maybe. It was 10:29 in the morning, 24 seconds. The outer two wheels are exactly the same as the other one because we're focusing on the transit on June 12th with Uranus squaring the nodes, and the middle wheel is still the natal Sibley chart that we're using. But the interior wheel is what's shifting. And in this case, it will be that lunar eclipse, and it's total. You look at it, they're both at 15. The sun and the south node is a south node eclipse, lunar eclipse. So it's really trying to shed that sun energy that's in Aquarius. And as you had pointed out, so it's a lunar eclipse here in Leo within minutes. the moon is next to the North Node. So we're really, it's a North Node eclipse in Leo.
Yeah, and as you said earlier,
mutual. Go ahead.
Yeah,
I was going to say it's okay. It's mutual reception. Something I love that idea myself. The moon in Leo is parallels, you might say, with the sun in Cancer, because moon rules Cancer and sun rules Leo. That gives me distinct pathway that there's some communication between how we manifest in our emotional sense with because manifestation, Leo wants to have a legacy. It wants to create. It wants to manifest, be the best it can be at something. And the sun, that's who we are, but in Cancer wants to protect and knows our history and wants to create a womb. In evolutionary, in vibrational astrology, it wants to create a nest, an egg, a nest for protection. So isn't that amazing? It wants to protect us so that we can evolve to be our best. And the question gets to be, who does that include?
Yeah, it's because whenever the United States was created, and there's that statement, all men were created equal. All men was defined very differently than what it is now. And I think that's, without going too deep into that, I'll meet you down by the docks for that conversation. But it's important for us to take that into consideration. And yes, to consider it on just like a humane level, but also to consider that this is what Uranus and Ceres are kind of coming in to bend the nodes for. What have we been disillusioned with the past 16 months about our path, and where have we seen the webs that has been cast around us that we didn't know were there before? Because if we are going to have a liberation that is humane, we need to start, you said words have baggage. We need to start reevaluating what these words and what these documents actually mean.
Thank you. Yes, indeed. We all have a part. It's a good time to feel the courage to speak, because that's what people are doing. And out of it, we learn new ideas and ways to apply it, and new ways about ourselves, and create that vision that we have.
Yeah.
And leap forward. Uranus reminds me of those synapses in the brain. They don't connect. You have to jump across. It's like, we'll make it. We'll get there.
We will.
Ooh, zooming in again. Big monitor. Well, yes. Jen, thank you. What a privilege. It's really an expansatory, is that a word? Expansatory?
It is now.
Yeah, expansatory. Look at all those books. Yeah, I got lots of books. Lots of expansion going on. But it is that idea of what's liberation to make that movement to exist, and mutable, like you had brought up at one point.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I appreciate the honor to be here today and to have this conversation with you.
Yeah, as we detonate from the cracks. That's a great pivotal awakening. And also about the burnout, like how much are we trying to answer that Piscean call or that fix-it call? There's baggage on both ends, or there's debris that we need to clear through and go step into ourself and become that participant with our own communication with the universe.
Yeah.
All of it.
And to trust our resources.
Yeah. That's right. I keep waiting for the music. I think it's happening, and I think, no.
Yeah.
It's silence. Maybe that's where we're meditating. Down within.
There it is.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
We shall return. Come back next week, and we'll talk about Chiron with Taurus. Oh boy, the plot thickens, but it's opening and it's beautiful. And we'll have to consider another intriguing conversation here, Jen Sachs. She's a Seattleite, so you can reach out to her there. You folks in KKNW land or online to myself too. All right. See ya. Thanks you very much, everybody.
Thank you for joining this vibrant and insightful conversation on Talk Cosmos, the show where Sue Rose Minahan and her guests awaken consciousness by connecting heart and soul consciousness patterns with astrology's energetic cycles. Be sure to tune in next week, same time, same place, to continue your journey through the roots of the cosmic pathway.